Is it possible to make a multiple film series with no studio, no crew, and sometimes no script? Today, I'm interviewing independent filmmaker Walter Wright, also known as WW. He cast non actors, had to recast leads mid shoot, improvised entire movies across the country, and even shot a full feature in just 5 hours. All of his projects are self funded, low budget, and definitely made with a lot of passion. In this episode, we'll dive into what it really takes to make movies when the money isn't there, but the vision won't quit. This is about failing forward, shooting fast, and building something bigger than yourself, one improvised scene at a time. And so this doesn't get too confusing here in a second, Walter actually goes by the nickname Will, so I will be referring to him as Will throughout the interview. Here's my interview with Walter Wright. I figured, just to get started here, what was like a personal moment or like a frustration that pushed you to say, like, I'm going to make this film memories and everything you else got going on, no matter what?
Man, I'm so glad you asked that question. It's actually so I always said Memories is actually my third film that I did. So I did one film, it was a short film, it's called Gems, and I plan to redo that film, but that kind of got me into the game. My second film is the one back there with the blue colors, and that movie's called Only Feet, which is coming out in due time. But Memories is actually my like passion project. I kind of was telling the actors, so the lead actor of the movie, I met him at Dillard's actually, and of all places, and he really helped me through like a real personal time in my life. I just came off of a breakup, and it was very like, definitely took me aback, and it was a hard time, and he kind of helped me through that process, and his energy, his charisma, and everything was just so cool. So then I ended up randomly meeting him again at a bar, and like 6 months later, I was like, "Hey, man, you want to be in a movie?" And so then we ended up meeting again at another bar, and ironically, no drinks at any of these bars, but but we ended up meeting again, and I just told him straight up, like, regardless of whatever happens, I want to do this film with you. I want you to be this person, and the film is actually based on my kind of my life experiences, and originally I wrote the movie as a feature film, and it was basically showing that just like true love can prevail, and that this is a spoiler, so yes, but it's all good. But yeah, true love can prevail, and it was supposed to be a trilogy movie. And it was gonna go in a whole different direction. They were supposed to like live happily after ever, whatever. And essentially, I wanted to tell that story because that's not how, most relationship movies out there, they always show someone cheating, someone angry at each other. There's always a high moment, then a low moment, then there's a high again. And I wanted to make a movie where people can transport themselves into a different world where they can just see like, a really good relationship, just the highs of it, and just a feel good movie, whether you're in a relationship or not. And so this movie was definitely, I told him, if this is the only movie I ever make, this is the movie I want to make. And, it was one of the hardest movies to make. Actually, I, started off the movie, filming it, and then we had a lead actress that was involved. And then like a week before she fell out of the project, and, definitely understandable because she has some personal things going on. But, from that moment, we're like, oh no. So then we had to do a whole audition. So we did a whole, people actually thought this was the name of the movie, but we did a campaign called Finding Cassie. And so we're literally finding the lead actress. And we had some people, submit in. And, then I ended up doing an audition. One girl, she was perfect for the part. We got her, and she was great. Unfortunately, after we signed on, we started shooting the first few scenes with her. She was really good, but her work, it complicated things. She lived in a whole different city, so she had to commute and stuff, and she had a job, so it made it hard for her to, really tap into it. So we had to like recast, and then ironically, the person who played her best friend in the scene, she ended up taking on the role, and, it's kind of a hard role because you have to be able to, sing as well, and this is at the point where it was still a feature film. It was like a 60-page script. I wrote it in, like, 3 days, and, from that point on, then we ended up having to we shot, like, 6 months, so we actually went to Vegas, we shot all that stuff. We were gonna shoot, we were supposed to go to, like, LA, and we were also supposed to go to, like, Boston and Atlanta, and it was a whole thing. But unfortunately, 6 months into it, we got to a scene that was just really difficult to achieve. And me, I want to, since I'm working with like no name actors, I want to get the best performance out of them because I know the game with like film is a business. And so if you don't have any lead actors in your film, I mean, big named actors, then you want to have like really good acting that can help carry that part. And it just wasn't hitting it the way I wanted it to. And unfortunately, we had to just stop the whole film altogether. And so we shot half the script and honestly, I was like, "What am I gonna do with this thing?" Like, I love the film, I don't wanna reshoot it again. I wasn't in a rush to get it out, so what we ended up doing was we ended up, pivoting, and, we ended up going into Days back there, the poster, and, basically it's the same storyline, him, finding true love, and, finally, we were gonna put Memories as, like, a 3rd film in the trilogy, but, I figured out like after doing so much, I said memory should be a prequel. Memory should be a prequel to Days. So then I just went back in the studio and I saw the stuff we had. I was like, how can I make a full film out of this? Fortunately, we shot the end of the film. The Vegas scene was really like the end of the film, and we shot the beginning, so I was able to kind of piece it together and make it cohesive. And ironically, that Lollapalooza scene in the film was actually supposed to be him and Cassie together at Lollapalooza, and we were going to reshoot. The girl that was in the scene was supposed to be just a fill-in person, and because unfortunately, like I said at the beginning of the filming, our first film shoot was actually going to be Lollapalooza. So like we bought the plane tickets, we bought the concert tickets for everybody. Unfortunately, the lead actress fell out of the project, so we had an extra ticket. So we had a friend that lived in Chicago, so she went with us. But originally we were going to reshoot that scene all again with the actual Cassie, but it kind of worked out where it's kind of like he moved on, and I like that where we were able to still use that footage and repurpose it where it's very realistic. So it shows the highs of a relationship, but then it also shows that you can lose that person, but you can still move on, and there's still hope. And then Days has that hope where you can find that person.
So you mentioned to me before we actually started recording that you're not you or and actually during that answer too that you're not just making one film, you're trying to build like an entire franchise or series around this idea and just in general. So what's the bigger vision behind that? But also at the same time, like I'm really curious to get your thoughts here because we'll talk about this, and I don't know how much you want to get into the numbers necessarily, but you told me how much you spent on some of these films, and it's a lot. So as somebody, you said you wanted to tell this story. Are you somebody who's just looking to, make these films for the art of it? Are you trying to find an audience? Are you trying to make money on it? Just because like, this film in particular is very unique too. Like one thing I really wanted to compliment you on, I'm a sucker for I don't know how to put this. I'm a sucker for like vignette style filmmaking, and like the entire film is like filmed in such a way where it's just like it's just a bunch of moments, right? That just spread out throughout these 30 minutes, which was my favorite part of the entire thing. So that's a risk, right? And when you're done, when you're putting a bunch of money into a movie, like making a creative choice like that can be a big financial risk. So I know that's a lot to put on you all at once, but curious to get your takes there on all that.
Definitely, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, that's definitely my filmmaking style. I really take like notes from like Derek Seinfranz. He's a director of Blue Valentine, and I definitely like directors like Lars von Trier and even Terrence Malick is a huge inspiration. And so I like to capture just raw moments. A lot of times there is a script, and a lot of times I let the actors improv. So what you see is definitely scripted lines, like the dialogue is very scripted, but a lot of moments are all improv. Like this part where she's singing on the couch, we shot that scene. We actually shot like 4 scenes that same day, but that scene was just improv after an hour sitting on her couch. We dressed it all up and stuff, and she just came out with that song. And creating those little moments are fun, and definitely a passion. That's definitely one of my styles with it, and I feel like that style can help because I definitely lean more into art house directing. Try to make it like an art house film in some ways, which is can be commercially harder to sell sometimes. Definitely for my passion for making movies is for one, telling like, really beautiful type of stories, really unique stories. I see the world in certain ways, like filming in a Walmart. I've shot inside of Walmart a couple of times, which was very risky, but they're just everyday things that's not so glamorous. But it's just me. This is a backstory that I was actually homeschooled growing up. And so I was homeschooled from like fourth grade to like college. And essentially, I didn't really go out a lot. So I was inside a lot. And so it was showing the world in different angles and ways is definitely something I like to do. But as far as like, definitely, I want to, have this be a big financial, return as well, especially for the actors involved. I mean, the actors are all wanting to, become the next star, become that person and, get to the next level. And I definitely want to help them with that. And like I said, I worked with a lot of first time actors, like the lead actor in this film. He's never acted professionally before. I mean, he's done like YouTube stuff, but this is his first real film. And so that was fun pulling those performances out of them. And but yeah, it's definitely a balance of making like a really like art house, really beautiful type of story, but also, there's some financial gain. There has been a lot of financial investment. My take with like memories, that film so far, it was I'll mention the budget. It was like 40 grand, the budget for that film, and most of that went towards camera equipment, filming, paying the actors, whatnot, and then going to Vegas was a huge scene. We ended up getting like two different like really nice hotel rooms. Actually, we had one hotel in Vegas that we unfortunately we were there in Vegas for one day, so we got there like 8 a.m. in the morning, and we shot until like almost the time we had to fly back out, which was 6 a.m. the next morning. So we were up for like 24 hours. But we had this really nice hotel room, which only had a fraction of the film. And a funny story about that was I am in the film, but originally it wasn't supposed to be me in the film. And so the part that I play the lead actor's brother, who's like like basically like a Kendrick Lamar type person in the film. And this is kind of like the pivoting type of thing. Cause we had a whole actor planned, we had his plane tickets, and at the literally the night of the flight, we were about to drive to the airport and we just couldn't get a hold of him. He was just ghost. And I was like, "Oh no." We actually went and tracked him down in the streets and we're like, "Where are you?" But no, it was at that point we said, "No, we just gotta go." So I said, I'll do the part, which was hard because it was just the three of us. It was literally the actors and myself. So I had to bring a tripod and that was the first time filming myself without actually checking the camera and stuff, which was difficult and acting in the scene. But yeah, that scene was, probably our most expensive scene, the whole Vegas scene, and, yeah, we had to basically wait hours to get into the room. I mean, the room in Vegas, they don't let you in till 4 o'clock. It actually went to 5 o'clock, and we were just waiting around all day, and we had one room, but they actually upgraded us as a courtesy to, like, actually the best room in the hotel, which was really nice, and so we shot that scene, and then we went to the other hotel and shot there all in the same night, and, but yeah, with the films, I always look at, budget-wise, I look at it as a business. I figure like making a film is kind of like a house. Like when you're trying to like especially when you have like name stars in your film and stuff. One thing you can do to like make your film more valuable for like a sale or something, I feel is like if you have a house and you remodel the kitchen, do upgrades to your house, it makes the house more valuable. So I figure putting scenes like Vegas, like lots of really high quality things in your film can appraise it higher. And always a key, I try to keep the budget under 100 grand. I mean, 100 grand is attainable. I mean, sometimes you're breaking even on a indie type film, but at least at that cap, you're not gambling too much. I always say if you're going past 100 grand with no actors, big actors in it, it's a big gamble. You know, but yeah, that's definitely each of my films. Ironically, the Only Feet movie. I'm not sure if we'll talk about that much, but that film actually cost more, and it was actually more low key with like no Vegas scenes. But we can get into that later, I guess.
Who did you imagine watching this film while you were making it, and has that changed since you put it out?
That's a great question. So, really, I imagine, which may sound crazy to say, I think even Quentin Tarantino says this, but he makes movies for himself almost, which is crazy. But yeah, I kind of wanted to make a movie for anyone really though that is dealing with like heartbreak. You know, they just broke up or whatever, or they've never had a relationship. They've been wanting to find that person. You know, this film is really for you know, even if you are in a relationship, I want it to be for like for one, if you're in a relationship, this is a date night movie. You could pop it on, have a glass of wine with your person and enjoy like the travel, the highs and everything. And if you're not in a relationship, you can see hope that you can find someone and that if you know if you have been through a breakup, you can see that this person had an amazing relationship, like no issues, but even them, they can, you know, separate and so even he can move on and you can move on too. So it's really an inspirational movie for anyone that's dealing with anything relationship wise and someone that also wants to travel, you know. So like I said, I was homeschooled, didn't really travel much growing up and so I lived through movies, so that's why I watched so many movies growing up. And so I wanted to create a film where someone can travel while watching the film so they can go to Vegas and see different things as they're watching it.
You're self-funding all of your work. What would you say is your biggest financial risk and what has it taught you?
No, well, the biggest cost with all the filming is really the actors. You know, so my film Days is the biggest, like most expensive film I've shot to date. Mostly because I have a lot of models in the film. So I have a lot of, you know, really, you know, they're basically like supermodels, even though they're not supermodels yet, but they're up there. And you know, but yeah, that was the biggest cost because I'm used to filming with people with like percentages and whatnot. And but that definitely added to the cost of the film greatly. But I figured that, you know, like I said, you're trying to praise the film and make it like, you know, into something bigger, especially if you don't have any like, you know, big name stars in the film. So like investing in like good talent. And a lot of it's just a gamble too, which is a huge gamble because I've, you know, paid some actors a lot of money and, you know, it varies what you can get in performance. But, you know, it's a lot of times it's I don't. So one thing which may be risky, but I say that this is a really good, you know, technique to do. If you have the money to do it, one way you can find actors for your film is because for the longest time, so I went to theater school. And I went to K State University, and I was a you know a theater major. And my first film was all you know classmates, and I was like, okay, so these are the actors I can get, and I made my first film with them. That was great. And then I was like, okay, so I want to make my next film about OnlyFans. So that's what my movie back there is about, OnlyFans. But I wanted to make that, but I was like, you know, I had one actress involved, and first she was down for the part, but then she's like, oh no, my parents, you know, they're gonna think I'm in an OnlyFans movie or whatever. So she bailed like right after the first shoot. I was like, oh no. And we recast it. We finished the film. So it's already like, you know, done. But that was a huge challenge. Took like 2, 3 years to finish. And but I say all that because I thought my whole circle was just my classmates, you know, like these are the only actors I could find. And eventually I got to the point where I did do auditions, but you know, I only had like one person show up for an audition and she was like, you know, targeted for the role, but still it wasn't that great. And so what I found to be most effective for finding actors is just DM just send them a message on Instagram, you know, so you find like you know, local talent and like models, whoever are local where you're at, and you just pitch them, you know, like, hey, I'm making this film. This is how much I can pay you. And, you know, are you in or out? You know, and essentially I did that. And my film Days has like 50 actors in it. I casted all of them straight by just DMing them on Instagram. And, you know, it was definitely a huge financial cost, but it definitely added great talent to the film. And a lot of it was sight unseen, you know, like I didn't see their audition tapes or anything. I just saw what they could provide. And that's the biggest thing with casting, though, too, is that you want to really cast for their strengths. So, like the lead actor of Memories, you know, he's really like Sean in real life. He tells me all the time that he is Sean. And, you know, so like the models, that's what they do. They're used to that. So, a lot of the parts in the film are to their strengths. And so you cast to their strengths. Actually, who played Cassie's dad, which was the biggest surprise, was actually an Uber driver. So I was at an Uber driver. I don't have a car actually. I Uber everywhere, but yeah, my he also played in this movie back there, and I was filming that movie. And right after that, I got into Uber, and I was telling him I just came from a film shoot. He's like, "Oh, cool." And after that, I told him about it. He's in both films actually, and ironically, crazy. That scene where he's Cassie's dad in the film. Um, he played that scene on Saturday, and then Sunday, he had a complete opposite scene. It was like a crazy, I would say a torture scene, if you will, the next day. But he did both in flying colors. He was nice dad one day and crazy guy next day. But but yeah, the biggest gamble has definitely been that. Also for locations, I watched your video that you made a while back with your entertainment lawyer, and that was really good. And I get a lot of insight from your videos and film courage. And you know, filming all the locations that you see, or a lot of them are just, you know, we just pop up and shoot. Like that gas station scene was like a whole operation, the opening scene of the film, and we had to shoot it twice. And the second time we shut down two pumps for like an hour, and we didn't ask the people, but we just pulled up. We had to, like, we waited till people got out, and we pulled two cars up there, and we were out there filming this damn pump and over again. And that was a fun scene, crazy scene. But yes, yeah. So really with locations, I like to use real life locations. Very few times. You know, a lot of times I do ask for a location if I can, but a lot of times I you know, try to get a good shot in without interrupting too much in the public.
So follow up there to how you mentioned my lawyer and locations and all of that. Um, you know, when she was working on my film, you know, she was very big on we need all the paperwork. And I tried I mean I did what you did too. But if I did it in a public place where it didn't really matter. Or, you know, one other way that I kind of got around doing that, like there's one scene where I have him, or my main actor, at a liquor store, but we shot it in the parking lot, but I shot it in his car. So I mean, I'm technically like not, you know, I'm shooting in the car, but I'm just shooting out the window, you know, from a distance. But there was one scene I shot at a casino because, you know, the movie centers around gambling and all that. So I had a scene at multiple casinos, and she told me to cut it. So I had to refilm. So I guess, like, I don't know how I'm jumping around here a little bit. I don't know how far you are in your distribution strategy, but, you know, does that worry you at all? Like the potential of like, hey, we need you to provide that paperwork, and then if you don't have it, you know, does everything fall apart? Does that worry you at all?
That's a great question. Excellent question. Yeah, it's the thing that keeps me up at night. And but no, yeah, definitely with locations I try to film. And like, so this film back there, we filmed locally, and every business we went to, everyone was like really awesome. I mean, they were really great. So great that we actually had fake employees be the employee, and then like all kinds of stuff. Like I spoke to the dean and stuff. That's for this Only Feet film. For the Memories film, we shot mostly at their houses and stuff, which was cool. The scenes that we did have that were public, I did call ahead. I got permits in Vegas to shoot. That was a first, and you know, getting insurance for all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a huge gamble. You know, always. I mean, guerrilla style. You look at I think Sean Baker's film with he did Disney World. That's a crazy thing. I mean, one of the biggest tools, which I hope doesn't change, but I say your biggest tool as a filmmaker is an iPhone. And I shot literally this whole film with an iPhone, majority of it. And it really, for the longest time too, this is kind of a side thing. For the longest time too, I thought I need like a $5,000 camera to make a movie, you know, like to get the really good quality. And, you know, so I was renting cameras and whatnot. But then I shot this whole film with the phone, and then I rendered it out, and it came out really good, surprisingly. I was like, with the iPhone shoots 4K and stuff, I was like, wow. But the great thing about the phone is that it's low key. I mean, you can't, you know, stop people from using a phone in places, and a lot of people are filming, vlogging all the time, which is great. I mean, I shot concert scenes, kind of like that Lollapalooza scene, and but you know, just concert footage, whatever, with the phone, and as long as it's not like big professional gear and stuff. But for like a short film, I mean, stuff like that for YouTube is fine, I would imagine. But as for like my distribution strategy and stuff for film, like I said, as long as the budget is like under 100K, then, you know, I'm fine. My goal is to sell the films, you know, for big production, you know, big, you know, A24, big studios, whatnot. But, you know, if you have to go the route, which is a great route, honestly, and honestly, this is huge, but I honestly feel like Tubi is gonna overtake Netflix in time. It's not gonna be soon, but I say probably 5 years from now, because honestly, Tubi has amazing titles on there, and, it's free, and so it's definitely a growing market, but releasing your film on Tubi is a great way to get it out there. Another great avenue, which is YouTube. YouTube is a great I mean, YouTube is really a great avenue as a filmmaker. If you're a YouTube partner, you can release your film on YouTube. You definitely have to put the grind in, and that's what I'm doing with Memories right now. So, like, I know ways to make it go viral. It's just finding the time to do it, essentially. But YouTube is a great avenue because, for one, it's YouTube, so you can film things, whatever, and you don't really need all the paperwork and whatnot. And yeah, you can kind of there's more freedom that way, and you can make similar money to Tubi on YouTube as well. And it's more direct, so you see all the analytics and everything as your full control. So you can leave it up as long as you want. So like Tubi, it may last for 3 years on there or whatnot. YouTube is forever, so that's another thing. But yeah,
One thing I want to ask you real quick, because you're the first person that has mentioned that they got a permit, especially in a major city. So I'm curious, what was that process as far as getting the permit, and what did it allow you to do?
that's great. So basically, the permit. So I basically hit up the Los Angeles, not Las Vegas office, their office. I googled that, and there was also another website. This happened like probably I think a year ago. So, but basically, there's a website. So you look up the city's website for licenses. In Vegas, they have like a where you have to register your film as like a Vegas film. So there's like a website you have to go with that. They'll tell you the process. So if you just hit up the permit license place in Vegas, for example, then they'll tell you what websites to go to, the process of like where to, get your film, set up officially and stuff. And then you basically describe like, do you want to shut down certain lanes, like certain roads and stuff, like by police? Do you want to block off stuff? Us, we were low key. We didn't want to be doing all that type of stuff. But essentially, we called around to different hotels and seeing if we could film because with the permit, they say, well, if you're filming in like a hotel, call them, see if they say okay, get their okay in writing, and then provide that to us with us. And so I talked to different hotels, and then also they tell you like what blocks, what streets you want to like use where you're going to film, like the strip and stuff like that. And we did not, we had it, we could have filmed on the strip, but we just didn't have the time because we were only there for a day. But essentially, that process is like, it was a back and forth email that deal with so many people because they also deal with for Vegas. I use Vegas because that's where we film, but they deal with a lot of YouTubers filming there too, which also need permits. A lot of people don't know, but a lot of YouTubers need permits to film in those hotels in Vegas when they do those videos. But anyway, it was like a 30-day process, and they want you to give you this the exact time they're going to be shooting, what time, and I just said for the whole day since we're going to be there for one day. But it was pretty cheap. They need insurance as well, general liability insurance. So you need that, and then proof of that, and then also you need to pay them. It's like $50, but that's just for Vegas. So every place is different. One key thing which I did for days back there was we shot in LA, but we actually shot in Santa Monica. LA, there's a lot of red tape, restrictions, whatnot, whole process. But Santa Monica, you don't need a permit in Santa Monica, which is a huge plus. So like if you try to shoot Los Angeles, that's definitely a huge plus. But just I shoot most of my films in Kansas, and which is like, especially in the Midwest, there's not so much. They're happy if you're filming. So like they're really laid back with like permits and stuff. As long as you don't even need a permit really in like Midwest, and that's why I feel like the Midwest will become the next Hollywood. And that's one of the things I want to do is kind of bring that to the Midwest.
As far as the insurance that you had to get, what did you just need, like insurance for a day? Like how much or how many days did you need for that?
Yeah, so my dad, he actually works in insurance, and but essentially I ended up getting like a whole policy, and I had it going for quite a while. I stopped using it after some time, but I basically had it for like 3 months, and you just need just a proof of it. So you just as long as whenever you send in your application, show that you have proof that you have insurance, and that's basically it. And you can just cancel it right after you're done shooting, after your shoot's done. But I had it for quite some time after that.
Um, I'm jumping again, but you brought something up in your previous answer that I wanted to talk about. So this is something I feel strongly about, obviously because I have an entire YouTube channel. I mean, my goal was not to be a YouTuber. My goal was to be a filmmaker. But we live in this age right now where you need to be kind of the cheerleader for your movie. And a lot of times, like you need, well, cheerleader may be the wrong word, but you need to be the face. You need to be the one who's really promoting it. You almost need to be like, people almost need to like you more than they need to like your film. I work for a YouTuber right now full time, and something I've noticed is that, working in this specific niche, and I would love to figure out how to translate this into filmmaking eventually, but I just haven't done that. But people really support my boss, who's the content creator. Like, they really support him. They'll support anything he does. And I feel like we're in this age right now where, people, the general public wants to support smaller creators than they do these like big Hollywood movies, these big corporations, etc. So as far as filmmaking, like, I noticed that, and that's something that I always wanted to do, and it's something I've been doing for the last 5 years. Like, I put my movie out in 2020, and I knew, like, I needed to be that person. So I've tried to create YouTube content. It didn't really work out, but now it is starting to work out a little bit. So, and I'm seeing, and I feel like I'm seeing that translate into numbers as far as like people who are watching my film. You are also a YouTuber. You have your own YouTube channel where you're creating content as well, and I'm going to assume that you have the same feelings that I do. So what's your take on everything that I just said there, as far as being that cheerleader for your film?
You got to. You really got to. I mean, in any film level, so I use the this example, Raka Raka, I believe is their name. They did the bring those horror movies, and I just saw the last one they did, and that was pretty cool as well. But essentially, they had a huge fan base, so then they people loved them, and a lot of people, ironically, a lot of people didn't even know that they made it. They thought that it was like some brand new horror movie. It wasn't until they actually said, "No, we made this movie," that they're like, "Oh dang, let's go support it even more." But yeah, it's definitely being you have to be your own cheerleader for your film to get it out there. Even if you get a big distribution deal, you really got to do the leg work, the marketing behind it to push it to get it out there. You have to get creative with it, like memories. And you'll probably see me do this. I have a whole strategy for it. Essentially with I'm a YouTuber as well. I did reaction videos, a lot of reaction videos on my YouTube channel, kind of just to build an audience because I have a plan for SBG to, become a huge, kind of like its own network eventually. But, just growing a fan base right now with that. But essentially, I plan to, do like videos about romance, romance videos, things like that, and then lead them to the film and in that way. And so you have to get creative with marketing. So whatever your film is about, you can just create content on YouTube, which is a huge tool that we didn't have access to like in the beginning. Like big studios, they had their own way, like radio, TV, advertisement, billboards. But now these days, upcoming filmmakers, independent, we can promote through like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and especially with AI now, which is crazy. Like you can use AI not in your film, although I have used some AI, not in this film, but I had we could talk about that later on if you have a question about that. But essentially you can use AI now to, help, with optimizing your YouTube videos. So like you can ask it like, what are the best tags to use for my YouTube video and such, and that can help you rank your video, your film better. There's a lot of different ways to get creative to get your film out there these days, but it's good that we have the control to be able to do that. But you really have to be the face of your film too. People really need to know you. I mean, the lead actor of this film, I mean, literally, he is, very well known around the town that we're in, and a lot of people recognize that, and people see that, and that really translates to people coming to support the film. They want to support the person in the film, and it's all about just creating that base essentially.
Getting back on track, you mentioned before we started rolling that you filmed an entire feature in 5 hours, which is obviously nuts. So, how do you plan, just in general, especially with your budgets and just all the logistics, while moving that fast and still trying to make it look good?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yeah, with that film too, I haven't edited it yet, but it's actually from the shots that I've seen so far, it's gonna be really nice, and it's a definitely huge gamble doing a film like that. We had an actress in the film that was, our biggest actress that we've shot with, like fan base size. She's actually a very popular adult star, and you would always think that we're shooting something like that, but we weren't. Essentially, that film was the end of the world, so it's about the end of the world. I kind of wanted, as a filmmaker, want to tackle every single genre. So, like, I wanted to do an apocalypse type film, but I wanted to do it from the perspective of, like, like someone that's a homebody, someone that's at home, and they're dealing with pain and whatnot, and they're just trying to enjoy their last day, and then they're just like seeing the world end around them. And there's actually a really dope movie with William Defoe that is very similar to all this. I think it's called 444 something, but if you look up his name, you'll find it. But it's an end of the world movie. It takes place in his apartment. It's like one location, and they made it really interesting. And as I was writing the script, I did not want to, copy what they did, but I wanted to show a different perspective of it. And so yeah, that film took a lot of planning. I talked to the actors like a month in advance. We actually had like no script, so we ended up creating like bullet points, which was really like fun and crazy. So we ended up creating bullet points of like essentially each act of the film. And it's crazy because we had the lead actress only for like 5 hours, so that's the reason why we were like, we got to shoot this whole thing in one day, and it's all we had the budget for. So we're just gonna make sure we get it right. Especially, we want it to be like an 80-minute film and not feel drawn out. So this was actually really testing, my technique as a director to really pull out long take scenes. We had to do long takes, and and a lot of times when I'm directing, I like to linger on a shot. So a lot of it's improv. This film was heavily improv, but I told them what their characters were like. Essentially, this guy, he was a failed businessman. He meets this girl on like a dating app, and then they basically spend the whole night together, and they don't really love each other at first. They barely know each other at all. They don't know each other at all. But then throughout the whole movie, they find love, and then they basically like Rihanna found love in a crazy place. But essentially, it was a tough one. It was one of the hardest things, especially because I really had to pull the performances out of them, and we had to make sure we do long takes. We did like 5-minute takes. And even when it got uncomfortable, they ran out things to say. I was like, keep rolling. As long as you stay in character, never look at the camera, it's all good. I kind of like the awkwardness, I kind of like it where it's not too pristine. If people make, they stutter, they whatever, forget a line, or they're thinking too much or whatever. I kind of like that because it makes it realistic. I try to make films that are raw, that are like, very much real life. And so I let them, go as long as I could. But yeah, that was a definite and we had an action sequence in there too. So we had an action sequence, someone broke into the place, we had a clubber, and then we had people running, and we shot in a Motel 6, which was kind of dangerous, I guess. I don't know. We had a lot of camera equipment, and we bought like $600 worth of liquor. That was ironically not part of the film, but it ended up becoming a prop for the film because we actually stayed in the hotel room. So like all the actors left, and I just slept overnight in the room. But this is my first film actually co-directing as well. So usually all my films are like, myself only. But yeah, this first film I co-directed with my friend. We work great as a team. He's a composer, so he actually does all the music and stuff. And I'll also go back to that too with memories. I have something to say about that. But yeah, he's a composer. So, and he also did the sound work for this, and then I filmed it, and we worked together as a team. But yeah, it was a hell of a thing. But shooting in Motel 6, we had some complaints. People were like, "Can you stop filming, please?" And it's like, yes, it's just the end of the world, and we must survive. But no, that was pretty much. Yeah, that was an experience. Okay, so this is a big tip for filmmakers. So for one, I wanted to put Memories on Tubi, and I definitely plan to. Even though it's a short film, I feel like it can be great on Tubi. But the thing is that I really like the music that I had in Memories, but that music is from Storyblocks. But I'm not sure if many people know that Storyblocks is really, affordable, like $60 a month or whatever. You get great music. But if you want to use that music in a feature film and put it on like Tubi or Netflix, you need like a $10,000 license. And so essentially, that was out of the budget, so I was like, I could make music for the film, but I wanted to release the film. So this is a huge plus is if you are making a film, you need great music. I'm not sponsored. We're not sponsored. Yeah, this is not a plug for this Story Blocks, but essentially any platform. if you put your film on YouTube with their music, it's fine, and you can still make money from it. You can still they give you a license, so you can still make money on it, and you get great music, and that's if you wanna just have your film on YouTube, it saves a lot of money. Now me with my composer friend, he's actually gonna make, music custom for it, so a different soundtrack for a Tubi version that will come out later on. But, that's a huge plug if anyone needs music, just put it on his YouTube and you get and it's okay for festivals too, so festivals don't mind that as well, and they don't charge you that fee for festivals.
You're somebody like me where you're not going to let your budget get in the way of you being overly ambitious. You mentioned that Days was shot across multiple cities with no script and over 50 actors. How do you organize chaos like that without losing the thread of the story?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So that film, so it was a huge pivot from memories. I knew exactly what he wanted to do, like as a story. I wanted to we were gonna go to California anyway. We already bought the tickets for California, Santa Monica. The film opens with the Santa Monica scene. And we originally were gonna do that for memories, but we did that for days. And it was just a fresh start. It's almost a really liberating feeling almost. It was like, we had money, like a set budget each month. And we're like, okay, we can go anywhere in the world. Where do you want to go? Like, so it's like we can go to Vegas, we go to LA, we can find local actors in each place. So we had to find like a local actress in LA. She's from France. And so she would play the first scene in the film, and that was great. And then we went to Kansas City. We know a lot of people there because we're close to Kansas City. So found lots of models, finding friends of models, and basically hit them all up. We shot scene by scene. One scene, which was so this was a very expensive scene, and it was a very tricky moment. And so the whole film was a bunch of tricky moments. I mean, honestly, Days is crazy. So basically, I had one scene. We had a concert scene in the film where his character was going to a concert. So basically, okay, so one. Let me go back up a little bit. So one thing with Days is that I dealt with recasting issues. Where I had to keep recasting people for my previous films. So with this film, I wanted to be where every character in the film could be replaceable. So like if anyone said, "Hey, I can't film no more," I was like, "All right, cool." So basically, Days is like his day to day life. So if someone is like in there for a few days in there, then that's cool. If they leave, then that's like real life. So basically we had this scene where he was on a date with his girlfriend, but essentially they were going to go to a Childish Gambino concert right after. And essentially I hit up one model who was going to be in the scene, and I didn't hear back from her. Like we were all good up to like a week before shooting, and then I didn't hear back from her, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "What are we gonna do? Because we have the concert tickets and everything." So I ended up casting an extra model, an extra person to be that replacement. And so then she was down and everything, but then like 3 days before, she was the original person hit me up like, "Hey, I'm ready for the scene. Let's do it." I'm like, "Oh no, we have two people for the scene." I was like, but I wanted to work with both of them, and I was like, "How can we make this work?" And so it definitely doubled the budget. And but what we did was we ended up using both of them, and we ended up changing at the last minute because there's no script that it was a breakup scene. So like him and his girl, they're on this date together, really nice date, but then they break up, and then he has this extra ticket, and he finds the other girl, and he's like, "Hey, let's go to a concert." And so it's a really crazy, just pivoting, just thinking on the spot, a lot of filming. And at the beginning of the film, throughout the film, we did a whole lot of film shoots. 'Cause he's basically he plays a fashion designer, so it's very much in the line of him building a fashion company. So we have him in the film meeting with investors. We have him meeting with a designer who does artwork. We actually made a real fashion line, clothing line. And throughout the film, the process, I was telling the models like, "Hey, we're gonna have a big fashion show at the end of the film. We need to get you back for this fashion show." And we also had to build a location to have a fashion show. Now, for one, originally I wanted to have like a big warehouse. I envisioned a warehouse with like, flashing lights and then the models walking through it, and it'd be kind of cool for a end of the film. But that I couldn't find a warehouse or nothing like that. So I ended up getting a second apartment. and I ended up turning that whole place over a course of like shooting. And I turned that into the fashion show place. So it was fun actually filming him. So I actually, got local friends and people that wanted to act. And I said, hey, you're going to be, the realtor, like walking him through the space. And I even gave myself like a little cameo thing. I said, the producer is leaving town, so he's letting you use his space for a while to film, to do your show. And then we actually had this poster in the back. So we had like a little cameo plug for the other film in there. But yeah, we ended up getting all these posters made. So we did like a bunch of photo shoots throughout the film. We got these posters made, had them on the wall. We did a big fashion show. We ended up doing 4 fashion shows in the film. Like I said, it was really hard because I was really a one-man team. Which was extremely hard, for one, contacting all the actors. I reached out to them all on Instagram and then, coordinating their schedule. I use Milanote. Milanote is a really good, website app that you can, schedule things. I use that a lot. And we had, I can't even tell you how many scenes. I haven't even started editing the film yet, really, but essentially it's really fun, crazy process. It was very fun in the beginning. Every film, I kept telling the lead actor of that film that each film shoot's going to get crazier, and it really did. Crazy in a good way, but just more crazy. So, like one day, for example, we had a shoot day. We went to Kansas City. We shot a whole scene out in public, and it was fun. Like him with one of his exes, and then we shot a whole scene where it was like an intimate scene, and it was the first intimate scene that we had shot. First one that I shot like this. I mean, it's like full nudity in the scene of both actors, and it's always interesting filming those scenes. And so we shot the whole scene right after that, and then the very next day we shot a whole photo shoot in the same location for with 2 different actors. So we had a whole back to back, and that was just one. And then another weekend we ended up shooting. It just got crazier each time. Each time there was more filming. We did one scene of the film, which was really a tricky scene, one of the hardest scenes of the film. We shot a music video, but also the film at the same time. So we basically had 2 actors. One was an actual musician. We had another girl who was gonna be the person who was singing to. Then we had a camera crew, like a fake camera crew, like shooting the music video there. Then we had the lead actor. He's like doing the fashion for the scene. So we show behind the scenes of him on a music video set, and then we were shooting the music video and the film simultaneously. And we had like a whole bunch of people in this one room, and that was a crazy fun scene. And so yeah, it was like a lot of just crazy filming we've done. But one of the biggest scenes that we shot, which was the last scene we shot, we end up doing a whole fashion show. So the apartment turned out to be a whole fashion show scene. So we shot all that in like 1 hour. So we had all these actors driving from a whole different city. We shot the whole scene in 1 hour. But then we had a whole nother fashion show we had to shoot, which was just like 15 minutes away in this hotel. So we booked a whole like ballroom in a hotel. We had like a huge artist, local artist, come through, and he basically was going to be like the hype man, kind of like a Drumline at the end of Drumline where the big rapper comes out and everyone's going. So we had that. Then we had a whole nother group of models. We had like 30, 40 models in the film. Like they're all part of the fashion show. And some of the people from the, earlier on came back, and we had brand new people. And coordinating like 30 people on set was crazy with the music video. We had multiple camera people going and stuff. And that was definitely crazy. We shot all this back to back in the same day. And it was insane. But I'm so glad to be done filming. We were actually supposed to film more, but I said, no, no, no more. And we said, we'll save it for the next one because there is going to be like 2 more films after Days.
What's the smartest low budget trick you've used to make the films that you work on feel more expensive?
Oh, that's great. So, okay. So definitely one thing. So 2 things. So like, so the scene back to the film where we did in 5 hours, we shot in a Motel 6, but, like I said, we ended up, we actually me and my friend, we like to stock up on drinks, and, this is crazy saying that on camera, but no, but, so we went to Trader Joe's. I call them Trader Joe's. No, I'm kidding. But we went there, we got like $600 worth of drinks. It was actually supposed to last us for months, but we ended up needing to store it, so we ended up storing it all in our Motel 6 room, and it kinda dressed up the set a lot. It made it like, "How did you get all this liquor in here?" And it's like he's really drowning out his sorrows. It's the end of the world. And then we had this model who came through. She's an adult star. She's got like millions of views and whatnot. And so she was in the film. So she has a huge fan. So her in the film made it a big budget, but honestly, that would be our lowest costing film because we shot in Motel 6. It was a one-day shoot. So it was like a budget that's like, under 5 grand, to kind of pull off that film. And so that, and then another trick is like shooting in like Vegas, shooting, in scenes. So like everyday places can look really big, especially shooting out in public, low key, you use your phone and, shooting in public on streets. I've done that and it makes the film feel bigger. And locations really add to the film, especially going to like really. So we shot at this place called the in Kansas City called the Green Lady Lounge, and that place looks really luxurious. But we shot there completely like free, in terms of just getting a couple of drinks. But it looks like a really fancy location. I have been kicked out of a place at one time filming. I was filming in a mall, a whole scene, and I was very like respectful about it. But yeah, we ended up getting the cops on us, and we're like, "You got to stop filming, man." I was like, "Oh no," and embarrassing moment. But yeah, we did get the shots we needed though. But it definitely would being a filmmaker. And I'm sure you've heard other filmmakers say this. I think you interviewed one guy recently that was like going to amazing locations, like tropical locations, whatnot. But really, you have to be bold doing filmmaking. Like indie filmmaking, you really have to be a bold filmmaker. Like I filmed in places that are very public, and I always say, as long as you look like you know what you're doing, then people will just like. I don't encourage people to go do this stuff, but like in Walmart. So I shot in Walmart twice, and the first time I shot there, it was very smooth, all cool. Second time I shot there, very smooth, all cool. But one thing I noticed that a lot of employees there, they're just trying to do their job. They're trying to just get through the day. They're not trying to, as long as you're not causing like big sounds and being very obnoxious or whatnot, low key, they're like, whatever, I'm just trying to get through the day. So, really, as long as you look like you know what you're doing, like with the opening scene of Memories, the gas station, we shot that completely free, but it looked like a really legit because it was a real gas station and stuff. And but I just you just gotta act like you know what you're doing. And that just means just tapping in and yeah, not asking too many questions, I guess. But yeah.
You put memories on YouTube while prepping days for bigger platforms. What's your release strategy and how do you balance exposure versus control?
That's a great question. So yeah, it's definitely limited. Like Days is a 3-hour film, and it's all improv. There's a lot of scenes in there. I did mention quite a few scenes already, which I haven't mentioned before really to the public. But there's still so much in the film that is very much really good to see, really great. But it definitely is. It's a balance of building hype because, of course, you want to film, build hype for your core base of people, like your fans, friends, family, whatever. So we've done like I did a whole premiere of the film last year. It wasn't a premiere, but it was kind of like a scene. So I just showed everyone a scene of the film to give like a little taste. But yes, definitely, I've been teasing the film out. So we've actually built a whole fashion line, and I plan to use a fashion line. It's a real fashion line that he builds in the film but also in real life. And so we're actually going to do a whole push for the fashion line this whole year. And the plan is to release it into all the film festivals next year, like Sundance and such. So Sundance just opened up now, so I really have to get on the editing right now and really to get it in there in time. But next year, I want to have a whole push the whole next year of just every festival with Days, and through Days, then it can just go from there. We can get a sell or whatnot, that strategy. But essentially, you want to tease it a little bit. It's always tough doing investors. That's one reason why I've always self-funded. I mean, it's for one, I love to have the full creative control of the film, but of course, having investors would help a lot. But it's a process of getting investors. You have to put your whole strategy out there to the public. You have to say like, this is what the whole film's about. Blah blah blah. We invest in this, and it's a lot of exposure. You may get someone, may not, and it's just a whole lot of stuff. And then sometimes it holds you up. It may take a while to get an investor, and you want to just get started. So. But yeah, that's a great point of just not showing too much, just show a little bit. And so every trailer that I've done so far, I don't have any dialogue really in the trailer. I just have moments in the film and that you see, and you kind of get a vibe for it. And yeah.
What's one lesson you had to learn the hard way? Something no one told you until you were already too deep into it.
One thing was, I guess, A few things. So music is a huge thing. A lot of us don't think about music. We're just filming the movie, but that actually held up my Only Feet movie for like a year because I had composers that I was working with, and we just didn't see eye to eye on things, and it held up a lot of time. And eventually, I was like, "How am I gonna find music for the film?" And fortunately, I found my friend who's a really excellent composer, and he gave the music for the film, which was great, which helped that process. Story blocks is another alternative, but music is really important. It really creates the vibe and atmosphere, and that's a huge thing. Another costly thing was recasting. I had to recast the role for Cassie multiple times, and it costs a lot. We shot like $5,000 worth of footage, and we had to just completely abandon because we shot like a few scenes with one actress, and we couldn't continue with her, so we just had to abandon that. And then also turning memories into a short film. Originally, it was going to be a feature film. Originally, I wanted to like put it on Netflix and everything, but you learn, and I was like, okay, I can make this into a short film, and you just have a different pivot, and you just have to go with the flow. Invested a lot of money into it, and but right now it's one of those pieces that what a lot of people do short films for is like as a reference for your work, like a short taste of what your work is as like a whatever portfolio or something. So that's why I'm using memories now, as it's like just to show people what my style is as a filmmaker and such. I'm not sure if I'll make back that, and hopeful I will, and I'm sure just putting the time in to promote it. But yeah, definitely it's a huge gamble. So if you're investing lots of money, what I learned is just always think about the business of things. That's one thing. So I've always been an entrepreneur, and before even making a film, I wanted to tap into different genres that I knew could be interesting, that could be popular, that could make a return back. And so that was one thing always from the jump. But still, then you're even gambling, so you always got to so definitely learned some expensive lessons with all that. But yeah, each day getting further. Yes.
You got a lot going on, obviously. So we're gonna have to catch up again at some point in the future when a lot of these projects come out. But considering we've talked about a lot, is there anything I missed or something else you wanted to kind of leave off on here that I may not have asked about earlier in the interview?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a lot of great questions. One thing I would say to like, in terms of like directing actors is, a lot of times I've learned this, and this has been a helpful tip for myself. Is my first film, I was very much scripted. I was like, you got to get the script right, and the more times that the actor does it, sometimes it can lose that appeal. That's one of the reasons why Steven Spielberg doesn't do rehearsals. So it's like one thing you can do with actors, if you do have a script, don't be so hard on it. I mean, of course, your film, but if you're more allow the actors to use their own words, it can add to that believability to it, and it can make the scene more realistic. But that's my only tip for like filmmakers and act directing. I've only been doing this for like 3 years now, but I've been getting further, learning a lot of stuff. Still learning. There's always stuff to learn, but really appreciate you bringing me on to this, and like on this process. It's been a great experience, and definitely look forward to speaking again. Especially, we should definitely like follow up once the films are out. The bigger ones. Yeah.
For sure. So, leaving off on that note, I really appreciate you coming on as well. Where can people find memories and learn more about all your projects in general?
Awesome. Yes, definitely check out Memories. It's on YouTube, Memories short film, and then also follow me on Instagram on Will93Boss. I post a lot of film updates on there, and some new projects working on and stuff. And yes, I definitely look forward to speaking more about yes, all that, and you guys checking out the stuff.
I want to give Walter another huge shout out for coming on the channel and just being so candid about his entire process. The dude is definitely very ambitious with all the projects he's trying to accomplish right now. So we're definitely going to have to check in with him later and just see the progress on everything that he has going on. Be sure to check out his film Memories, available on YouTube now, and to follow him on Instagram. Both those links will be linked in the description below. And of course, if you like this video, I would very much appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, like this video to do all the algorithm goodness to try to get this video out to as many people possible. And if you would like to support me Personally, my feature film, Cashing Out, is available to watch on multiple platforms. You can find it at cashingoutfilm.com or in my link tree in the description. And of course, if you want to see more awesome interviews just like this one, I will have some stuff linked here that I definitely think is worth checking out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.